All right, ready to dig into some geography.
Always.
You know, some listeners might be out there thinking, textbooks, really?
Mhm.
But you sent us some really interesting excerpts from Making Connections.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is, and honestly, it's anything but boring.
Right.
We're talking about how, like, the actual ground beneath our feet really shapes our lives.
Yeah.
From, like, the cities we build to even conflicts we see playing out around the world.
And what I think is so interesting about this chapter is how it connects those massive geological processes, the ones that we never really think about, to the personal decisions that we all make
Totally.
about where to live, what to worry about, what matters to us.
Exactly, and you flagged this great example of Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful city, right?
Yeah.
Ocean views, mountain air.
Gorgeous.
But also that ever-present risk of earthquakes.
Yeah.
The text even asks, like, would you trade $1 million mortgage for the chance to live in a city on shaky ground?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a question, honestly, a lot of us are grappling with, maybe without even realizing it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it really underscores how we're not just picking a place on a map.
Right.
The Earth itself kind of has a say in the matter.
And sometimes the Earth plays the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, this chapter dives into plate tectonics.
Okay.
Now, before things get too technical, you know that analogy about Earth's crust being like a cracked eggshell
Oh, yeah.
floating on molten rock?
Right.
It's such a great way to visualize how these massive plates are constantly shifting,
They are.
colliding, pulling apart.
It's incredible to think about.
And it's not just some abstract, geological dance.
Right.
These movements are what create mountains, ocean trenches, volcanoes,
All of it.
the very features that define our planet.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to think that something that happened millions of years ago, like continents smashing together,
Mm-hmm.
is the reason we have mountain ranges today.
It's wild.
And it's not just pretty scenery, right?
No.
Mountains influence everything from where cities can be built to how we transport goods.
Absolutely. And then there's the formation of fossil fuels, which are essentially ancient sunlight trapped by these geological processes linked to plate tectonics.
Okay.
Now, fast forward to today, and we see those same fossil fuels driving global economies, sparking geopolitical tensions, even fueling conflicts.
It's like this chain reaction across time. Think about it. Conflict in current event related to energy is in part a struggle for control of fossil fuels, which exists because of how continents drifted millions of years ago.
It's incredible.
Pretty wild, right? Speaking of ancient history with some really big modern consequences,
Mm-hmm.
did you know that if you, compressed Earth's entire history into a single year, the last ice age ended about a minute ago?
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
That's what this chapter says.
Yeah, it's true.
It's mind-blowing to think about how recently glaciers were shaping, the very land we live on.
And it really highlights how what we think of as permanent is anything but.
Yeah.
These massive ice sheets, some of them kilometers thick, have played a starring role in sculpting our landscapes.
Okay, so picture this. You're standing, where we are right now, but just 15,000 years ago, you'd be buried under kilometers of ice.
Wow.
This wasn't some, distant Arctic phenomenon. It was happening right here.
Right.
So what kind of mark did those glaciers leave as they retreated?
Well, think of glaciers as giant slow-motion earth movers.
Okay.
As they advance and retreat, they carve out valleys, push up hills, and deposit massive amounts of sediment.
Huh.
Those fertile farmlands that feed millions in southern Ontario, you can thank those ancient glaciers for, grinding down rock into that rich, fertile soil.
From ice to agriculture.
Amazing, right?
It really is incredible how those, massive forces shape our world in such practical ways. It makes you appreciate the connection between geology and, everyday life.
Right.
So we've got these massive glaciers carving up the landscape, grinding rock into fertile soil. It makes you wonder how much that ice age, determined where people live in Canada today.
Oh, it's a huge factor. And this chapter breaks it down by looking at Canada's 3 main landform regions. The Canadian Shield, the Lowlands, and the Highlands.
And they've got those handy 7 things you should know sections for each region.
Yeah.
It's like a cheat sheet for understanding Canada.
Right.
What stands out to you when we look at these regions through the lens of, human geography?
Well, one thing that jumps out is how population density is linked to these landform types.
Right.
You've got the Canadian Shield, this vast expanse of ancient rock, and it's sparsely populated.
Right.
Then you've got the Great Lakes St. Lawrence lowlands, much smaller area geographically,
Right.
but with a much denser population bustling with cities and industry.
Why such a difference? We talked about those fertile glacial soils.
Right.
Is that the main reason for the population density in the lowlands?
It's definitely a key factor.
Okay.
The lowlands are home to some of Canada's best agricultural land, thanks in part to those glacial deposits, but it goes beyond just good soil.
Right.
The Canadian Shield, with its rocky terrain, it presents challenges for everything from farming to building.
Yeah.
The lowlands, on the other hand, they offer relatively flat land, access to waterways, and a milder climate.
Right.
It's not surprising that people gravitated there.
It makes you realize how much geography influences like the choices people make. You know what I mean? What about those like dramatic Canadian highlands?
Well, yeah.
All those towering peaks and rugged beauty, that's got to draw people in.
Absolutely. The chapter even mentions the group of 7 painters who captured like the raw beauty of those landscapes in their art.
Mhm.
And it's not just about aesthetics. The highlands are rich in natural resources, from minerals to timber, which has shaped their development.
It sounds like each region has its own story to tell, shaped by its unique geology. Kind of brings us back to that question about Vancouver.
Okay.
Gorgeous city, but with the risk of earthquakes. If you were moving to coastal BC, the text asks, what would worry you more, earthquake risk or housing prices?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right.
It's a question a lot of us face, maybe not with earthquakes, but with other trade-offs.
Yeah, for sure.
And it speaks to, the theme kind of woven throughout this entire deep dive,
Hmm.
that complex relationship between natural forces and human choices.
Oh, sure.
There's rarely an easy answer.
Right. It's all about weighing risks and rewards, understanding those forces at play. And speaking of forces at play, this chapter ends with a thought-provoking line. Canada is an east-west country trying to survive on a north-south continent.
Oh, wow.
What do you make of that statement, given everything we've just unpacked about landforms and population distribution?
It's a powerful image to consider. It challenges us to think about how Canada's unique geography, with its vast distances and challenging terrain, has shaped its history, its economy, even its national identity.
It's a question worth pondering. How has the Earth itself shaped our lives, our communities, our nation? It's something to think about as you walk through the world, noticing the mountains, the valleys, even the rocks beneath your feet. Who knew geography could be so fascinating? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.